It's time for another episode of the Joshcast. I have new earbuds. Airbuds. There you go. Airbuds today. That's what's happening here. We'll see how that affects the sound. I don't know why I added an extra K in that word affects. I don't. We'll see how that affects the sound. It's causing me to throw consonants in where they shouldn't be. In case there's anybody new listening to this, not because I've been posting a lot of videos on TikTok and getting a couple people following, which is nice. That's good. I feel like I'm loved. I feel loved. It's good to feel loved. Um, basically my aspiration is to be a successful stand-up comedian. I would describe myself as, at this point, a stand-up comedian. How do I define successful? I want to make enough money to afford like a small dwelling of some kind. It's not my aspiration to play Madison Square Garden. Like there's some comics who are like, I want an audience of 5 million people. I want everyone on the earth to look at me as I deliver my setups and punchlines about Tinder. That's not. I don't need that. Like some of my favorite shows are with in the smaller rooms, and I'm not. Yeah, so the idea of performing in such a big venue, because I've seen specials where people do perform in a venue that big, and it almost like the intimacy that can be created in a smaller venue seems to get lost. And and by day I work at Flappers Comedy Club. Right now, I think the more accurate title is I work at Flappers Comedy Club and Laptop, where we're doing virtual shows via Zoom. And there are two rooms. There's the Yoo-Hoo room that seats about 50, and then there's the main room that seats about 200. And I like the Yoo-Hoo room better. I don't know. The main room is, great too. But, when that main room gets full, then I have this pressure to, I don't know, put on a show. There's something about the intimacy of the Yoo-Hoo room. I just love. So at any rate, I probably, people tell me, well, you do a podcast, you should have guests and a theme, and I'm aware of all that. I know I should, but all I really want to do, like, basically, these podcasts are 20 minutes, and it's me doing a 20-minute stand-up set for myself, and it's me generating new material for myself. So basically, you are listening to 20 minutes of me writing. And look, 90% is probably unusable. But if you want to listen, great. If you like it and you want to share it with your friends, go ahead and do that too. I don't want to have guests on because I want all the glory for myself. I don't want to share in the glory. That's what the world needs. Oh, the world needs a Klingon podcast. I don't know how this has not been. I'm sure somebody somewhere must have done this as a sketch. A Klingon podcast. That's what the world needs. I am Worf, son of Moog. My guest today is Gowron. It'd be hard for the Klingons to have a podcast because the Klingons, as depicted in Star Trek, they never have casual conversations. They're always very Shakespearean in how they talk. And that's That's why Klingons. That's why Shakespearean characters. It would be hard for Shakespearean characters to have a podcast. To be or not to be? That is the question. Isn't that right, Randall? My guest today is Randall. Randall Johnson. He's a minor supporting character in the new film, um, Why Did I Feel Badly About That Soup? It's an independent film. I'm really glad we could get Randall here. Randall has been in a lot of HBO shows. I'm, of course, am Hamlet, and this is my podcast, To Pod or Not to Pod. Randall, thanks for being here. Oh, it's a pleasure to be. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take up arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. So my movie is coming out a little bit. To die, to sleep no more. I think the only way that Klingons or Shakespearean characters could do a pod, they'd have to speak in that manner the entire way through. Tell me, Randall, what dost thou doeth? Well, I am a actor, and I've been acting now for about 37 years. This is not the kind of energy I wanteth on my podcast. You are not interesting. I shall slice you with a bat'leth. Why are you announcing what you're going to do before you're going to do it? You're giving me an opportunity. Yeah, I see that podcast not working out so much. Can we talk about something else here? That we are living in the middle of a pandemic, as I'm sure we've all noticed. And I don't mind if I love the not shaking hands. I love it. Let's keep that. I think I was just listening to Mike Birbiglia talking about this on his podcast. So I always want to quote podcasts. It's getting to the point now where I listen to so many podcasts that I don't know. I can't tell if I've had the conversation or if I've listened to the conversation or who I had the conversation with. So somebody said this somewhere else. I'm fine with the handshakes being gone. But recently, somebody tried to do the elbow bump. And I'm sitting here going, what kind of maverick daredevil are you? Why is the elbow bump okay? Well, because with you don't touch your face with your elbow like you touch your hands with you put your hands on your face. Don't do that with your elbow. I don't care. You have germs. I don't want them on my body anywhere, frankly. The other thing I love about this time is that I can directly just tell someone, no, I don't want to shake your hand or do an elbow bump with you. And it's societally okay. Before this, it would be I'd be very socially awkward if I said, I'm sorry, I don't shake hands. But now, somebody raises an elbow, I'm like, are you out of your mind? What are you, an animal? Stop it. Get that thing down. Well, I take a sip of Starbucks green tea. The Emperor's Cloud hot tea. In case you were wondering, that's what I resort to when I don't know what else to say in stand-up, is I resort to just shouting. In lieu of a punchline, I just do this. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the elbow thing. Not a fan of, never a fan of handshaking. Glad that's gone. Let's leave that be gone. Let's keep that. Let us keep that. So last night I watched a couple episodes of The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror, because it's on Disney. I have all these apps now that, I already had Netflix. I got the CBS app because I'm a Trekkie and I wanted to keep up with the Star Trek. And then I got HBO Max because I wanted to see Wonder Woman. And then my dad got me Disney Plus for my birthday. And now I have all these apps and I'm sitting here going, I guess I'd better use these. I better go and watch something on them. So I watched The Simpsons on the Disney app, and then I watched Rick and Morty on the HBO Max app, and I felt like I'm like a good little consumer. And Rick and Morty, by the way, I am binging Rick and Morty at this point. That's my new show. People have been telling me to watch it for years. I like to wait a good 4 or 5 years before I watch the show that everybody else watched. So I expect to be fully up to speed on Game of Thrones by my 50th birthday. That's my goal. I'm behind everybody else on this. You know why? Because I'm too busy living my life. I'm too busy going out there on adventures where people say, hey, do you want to do an elbow jab? And I say to them, get out of my face, you pig. I did that. Watched a bit of the Rick and Morty, watched a bit of the Simpsons. And that's about all I was. Actually, I was just reading about how this person I know. Now, that sounded accusatory. I like the guy, but I want it to remain anonymous. But I guess he announced that he's going to travel now. He's not going to have an apartment. He works remotely, so he doesn't need to be near work, and he's got a decent job that pays. So he's going to just travel. Uh, and it frankly almost sounds like the plot of Kung Fu. I really think I wouldn't be surprised if this guy does that and just starts putting right what once went wrong. He's quantum leaping. It would be like if Sam Beckett in Quantum Leap was still leaping, but he also had to keep working remotely. Sam, in order to leap, you've got to prevent John Johnson from allowing his wife to leave him. You've got to be a good husband, Sam. You've got to do that. Yeah, I'll get to that. But I got to get this. I'm helping these guys with their website. I'm building a website. I got to finish building the website for the day job, and then because leaping doesn't make any money, Al. Leaping doesn't pay the bills. Sam, there are no bills. You don't live anywhere. Well, listen. There may come a time where I need to be in a nursing home, and that takes insurance. That money doesn't come out of nowhere. So I'll get right to the leap, but first I got to fix this website. Uh-oh. PHP code on this website is outdated. Oh boy! Excuse me while I take a moment to eat my egg bites from Starbucks. This is just a plug for Starbucks. That's all this is. Starbucks paid a middle-aged Jewish man who averages 12 downloads to just talk about Starbucks. They're like, we need to stay relevant. We need to stay relevant. Take a pause there. I was recording this. I'm recording this at the office. Was recording this. I am recording this at the office. I just heard some banging. So I stopped the podcast to go and investigate what the banging was so that I could also be killed if it was in fact an attack. So that's fun. That's a nice thing. Why do I go and investigate things thinking I'm going to be the one to stop. I'm going to be the one to stop it. I'm like the security guard in the superhero movie that stumbles upon Darkseid or Doomsday. That's like, hey, you shouldn't be in here right now, and then he's obliterated. He's vaporized. I think the worst job in the world is to be a security guard in a world where superheroes and supervillains exist. You're basically just you're the first to go down. That's all you are. There's no point in guarding anything unless you are a superhero. They should hire superhero security guards. I've never seen them do that. Catwoman breaks in. Hey, stop right there. I'm not going to bother. You're just a security guard. No, I am security guard. A security guard who also happens to be a superhero. Wow, I didn't expect that. I know. I don't know why people didn't think of this sooner, to hire superheroes to be security guards or policemen or firemen. Not all of us want to wear spandex. Some of us want a pension. So this actually works quite well. Now stop it or I'll vaporize you with my laser rays. Reminds me of Cyclops from the X-Men. That's the one. The character of Cyclops and his power is just always a little bit hilarious to me, because the whole premise of the X-Men is that these people have their powers because they're mutants. They're mutating. They have mutations. And some of the mutations make sense to me. And some of them, I think it takes a major leap to go from person with regular eyes to person who shoots lasers out of his eyes. That's more than just a minor genetic variation. It's more than a recessive gene that just somehow got activated. It's a little. Some of these powers, I can understand, telekinesis maybe, but shooting lasers out of the eyes or controlling the weather. Controlling the weather. There's evolutionary leaps, and then I think somehow her genetics are defying the laws of space and time. But shooting lasers out of the eyes, I like that, and that's his only power. Shooting lasers out of the eyes. It's this one very specific thing that he can do that is useful in 2 out of the 10 or 20 or 100 dangerous situations that the X-Men may find themselves in. Oh no, that plane's falling out of the sky. Cyclops. I can't. You need to get one of the other X-Men. I can. Like if it was a plane that we needed to shoot down, I'm your guy. But I, I mean, I can try to. I can try to shoot it into smaller pieces. Do you think that would help? Oh, they're all gonna die, Cyclops. You got to do something. They're falling out of the plane. I mean, I could kill them now. I could just kill them in midair, and it would be more painless than them hitting the ground. Probably. Do you want me to do that? Would that be helpful? Never mind, Cyclops. Never mind, Cyclops. I like that. That's that's an episode of something right there. Never mind, Cyclops. On the Jackie and Laurie podcast, they always figure out the name of their episode in the middle of the episode, and then they just kind of announce that's the episode. I think this is the name of this episode. Never mind, Cyclops.